The city never sleeps, but sometimes it closes its eyes and pretends. The air is thicker than the plot of a dime store novel, and the tension is as palpable as the smoky perfume that fills the room. There, amidst this tableau of vice and virtue, we meet our star, Snow Noir, whose skin is as noir as snow. Don't overthink it, it's fine. Snow's a dame with more class than a university, and legs that wouldn't quit if you handed them a pink slip. Hair black as midnight cascades like an ebony waterfall, with soft, supple skin indicating a life of leisure. But it's her eyes that really tell the tale. A brown so deep, you'd think you're wading into a chocolate pond. Every glance a chapter of a story, yet written. Across the room sits her stepmother, Victoria, draped in furs and pearls, her beauty as undeniable as it is lethal. You could drown in those eyes, and plenty have tried, let me tell you. Victoria's married to Snow's old man, a suit-and-tie tycoon who's too busy counting bills to count his blessings. The guy's as clueless as a lost lamb and twice as innocent. What he doesn't know about his new bride could fill a library. He thinks he's struck gold, but he's dancing on a powder keg, and the fuse is burning down faster than you can say dynamite. Thing is, Vicky's got a side piece. Goes by the name of Mirror. Real name's Jerry, but no one calls him that and lives to tell the tale. He's got a grin that would make a Cheshire cat give up and go home, and the kind of looks that scream trouble. He's only got eyes for Vic, but he's about to grow 2 more. See, Mirror is a man about town. He sees things. And one day, as he passes his mistress's abode, he sees something he likes very much. The young Snow catches his eye, and unfortunately for him, his eye is caught by her stepmother as she watches him through the window. In that fleeting glance, a seed of jealousy is sown, watered by ego and soon to be fertilized by deceit. Victoria's face goes stern. If looks could kill, he'd be 6 feet under and pushing up daisies. But it's not Mirror she wants in a wooden overcoat. No, her gaze shifts to Snow, and in that moment, we all know the dice have been cast, and someone's about to crap out. Victoria turns away, her focus slipping from Snow like a gambler reconsidering a risky bet. The next evening, she leaves the home of her hapless husband, still at work to pay for his wife's lavish lifestyle, and struts down the dim streets with the poise of a gazelle and the gams to match. She navigates through her lover's smoky maze of a pub filled with the city's high rollers and lowlives, heading straight for the door that leads to his private chambers, passing by Mirror without a glance. She doesn't look back. Her eyes are a pair of loaded dice, and she's about to roll them on another gamble. Inside, the room smells like smoke, money, and Chanel No. 5. Mirror enters behind her and closes the door with a look that says he may be closing his own coffin.
So, Mir,
She starts.
who's the fairest in the city tonight?
This is an act they had long practiced, and Mirror knows his next line like the back of his hand. He takes a long drag from his cigarette and exhales a cloud of smoke. Well, doll, there's fair and then there's extraordinary. You know you're in a league of your own. Victoria smiles, momentarily satisfied.
I expected nothing less from you.
But... He hesitates, swirling the amber liquid in his glass as he departs from their script. I gotta say, I saw someone tonight who comes close. Real close. The atmosphere in the room changes. It's as if someone just turned down the volume on life itself.
Who?
She demands, her voice barely above a whisper but sharp as a razor. That new stepdaughter of yours. I tell you, in a few years she could give you a run for your money. Mirror should have known better, but the words flow out before the man can think. An easy feat, as thinking was a game he seldom practiced. Victoria feels the ground shift beneath her, a tectonic movement of insecurity and jealousy. Mirror may have just committed a cardinal sin, but he doesn't know it yet. As she looks him down, sizing him up, her mind starts ticking. Scheming, plotting, because if there's a rival beauty in this city, that's a problem that needs solving. Permanent-like.
You've been very helpful, Mir.
She purrs, but her eyes are cold steel.
You always know just what to say.
She leans in to give him a kiss, but it's not a lover's kiss. It's a kiss of a co-conspirator, a sealing of pacts and fates alike. Then she strides out of the room, her heels clicking like the second hand of a clock, each tick a countdown to a reckoning. Mira watches her go, the embers of his cigarette glowing brighter for a moment as he takes another draw. "You have no idea what you've just started," he murmurs to himself, ashing the butt into a crystal tray. But by then, Victoria is already plotting, already scheming. And in this city, when a woman like this gets an idea in her head, you best get out of the way or prepare for collateral damage. The evil dame strides back home and makes for the den. She slips into the room, shuts the door behind her, and picks up the rotary phone. It's an old thing, predating even her marriage to Snow's father. A relic, but a useful one. Her fingers dance over the dial, entering a number she knows by heart but has never written down. Too dangerous. A vestige of her old life. The line picks up. "Doc," says a gruff voice on the other end.
It's Vicky.
She replies, lips falling seamlessly into the dialect of her youth.
I got a job for you.
There's a pregnant pause. Even the hitman knows that when Victoria calls, it's never small potatoes. "Details," he finally grunts.
I want someone gone. A problem that needs permanent removal.
She says, choosing her words with the precision of a jeweler examining diamonds. "Name?"
Snow Noir.
Another pause, this one tinged with something that might be surprise. "The kid? Your stepdaughter?"
The young woman. Are you squeamish about the target huntsman?
Squeamishness costs extra. Victoria can't help but smirk.
Money's no issue. Just make sure she can never come back to haunt me.
"You want I should tell you when it's done?" the voice asks, all business now.
Of course.
Victoria responds.
And remember, I expect discretion.
"Always. Anything else?" Victoria's finger hovers over the disconnect button when a thought strikes her like a bolt from the blue.
Proof. I want proof that the job is done.
My word's not enough, huh? The voice oozes sarcasm. But Victoria knows better than to trust a man with a gun and a paycheck.
Don't mistake this for distrust.
She says icily.
Consider it a quality assurance measure.
He chuckles, a dark sound that's the audio equivalent of a shark's grin. "Fine. What'll it be then?"
A finger.
Victoria says without skipping a beat.
Her ring finger.
Silence. Then another dry chuckle. "Wedding plan's gone awry?"
Something like that.
She replies.
Can you do it?
"Can and will, lady. It's your dime." Then the line goes as dead as little Miss Snow was soon to be. Victoria hangs up with the finality of a judge's gavel. A finger. It would be proof enough, a morbid guarantee that her plans had come to fruition. It may be a grim request, but then again, the path to power is rarely paved with pleasantries. With that, she leaves the small room with a new pep in her gorgeous step, knowing she's made an investment in her own future. A future where Snow Noir is no longer in the picture. In a smoky joint across town, the huntsman reviews his night's errands, eyes fallen upon the unusual task at hand, the removal of a young woman's finger. And the death set to precede said removal. It's not his style, but a job's a job. He gulps down his last bit of liquid courage and sets off into the night, ready to live up to his violent nickname. The city's a patchwork quilt of shadows and sinister plans. The huntsman's car idles in a dim alley, exhaust fumes mixing with the misty air. He watches Snow Noir walk by. She's alone, lugging a bag filled with whatever keeps her life stitched together. This is his moment. He steps out of the shadows, one hand clamped over her mouth before she can scream. His other hand wields a switchblade, gleaming ominously in the darkness. But as he's about to make his cut, something gives him pause. Maybe it's the way her eyes widen, full of life, even when staring down death. Or maybe the old boy was suddenly growing a heart. Or maybe it was the gams. "Listen, kid," he whispers, releasing her mouth but still gripping her arm tightly. "I know what you did to deserve this, and I don't care. But you need to disappear, see? Your stepmother thinks you're going to be pushing up daisies by tomorrow morning. Do us both a favor. Stay hidden." Shocked and scared, Snow Noir nods, eyes wet but resilient. The huntsman lets her go and watches her hurry down labyrinthine streets, her silhouette eventually swallowed up by the dark. Plan B. The butcher drives to the city morgue. Security's lax, easy pickings for a man of his talents. Inside, he locates a Jane Doe, perfect for his grim errand. A quick slice of the blade, and he has what he needs. A finger, cleanly severed, recently deceased. It's a gruesome trophy, sure, but it'll keep Victoria off his back, and maybe give Snow Noir a fighting chance. With the finger stashed in his glove compartment, the huntsman navigates the winding roads back to his part of the city, now grappling with a conscience he thought he'd buried long ago. Snow Noir, now a fugitive in her own life, is a loose thread in a city that frays more each day. As for the huntsman, he's just realized that even in a world as ruthless as this, some lines are still hard to cross. The board is set, the pieces are moving, and everyone, willing or not, is part of this twisted game. The night is as dark as a burned-out cigarette, the rain coming down like tears from a broken dame. Snow Noir, with her heart pounding louder than a jazz drummer, finds herself in a street she'd never been to before, hoping the same was true of her murderous mother figure. Neon lights flicker from the window of a cabaret, guessing a glow that beckons like a siren's song. The sign reads, "The Coal Mine." She pushes the door open, stepping into a room filled with smoke and the sound of smooth jazz and crooning. Hi-ho, hi-ho, it's off to work we go. Ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-dum, hi-ho, 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 hi-ho. Snow walks up to the bar, her eyes meeting those of the bartender, who eyes her like a mystery to be solved. "Lost, sweetheart?" he asks, stirring a drink with a gracefulness that belied his rough exterior. Before Snow can answer, the owner of the establishment comes over, sauntering from behind a worn curtain, his face a roadmap of hard lessons and regrets. "What brings you to our humble establishment?"
I need a place to stay, and maybe some work.
Snow answers, her voice shaking, tinged with a cocktail of hope and fear. The manager, named Sly, eyes her cautiously. "You got any talents?"
I can serve drinks, maybe sing.
The dame offers. Sly exchanges glances with the rest of his crew. Riff, the musician on his sax. Croon, the main vocalist, stretching his vocal cords. Flash, focused on the lighting console. Quip, flipping through a joke book. And Sneeze, the bouncer, who is, well, he's sneezing. "All right," Sly finally says. "We could use an extra pair of hands around here. You're in." Snow exhales a sigh of relief, like a suspect who's just been cleared. She was in, part of Sly's cabaret. Pouring drinks, cleaning tables, and adding her voice to the chorus of complex characters who, like her, had found a haven in this gritty world of smoke and mirrors. The air in Detective Charming's office is thick with cigarette smoke and the residue of last night's regrets. Across the desk sits Snow Noir's father, a well-dressed guy but worn down, like a tailored suit frayed at the edges. His hands, jittery as a cat on a hot tin roof, clutch a folded photo. "I need you to find my daughter," he sputters, sliding the photo across the desk. "Snow Noir, she's missing." Charming unfolds the photo, his eyes taking in a snapshot of snow. The dame is radiant as a full moon on a cloudless night. "I haven't heard of her, but judging by this, her absence would leave a hole in any room. Can you help me?" The question hangs in the air like fog over a river, thick and loaded. "Sure, I'll take the case." Charming stubs out a cigarette. "Pay the lady at the desk on your way out." Your daughter's got a fresh entry in my ledger of woes. It's a big city, but there's not a corner I haven't peeked around. As the door clicks shut, Charming stares at the wall, contemplating the muddle ahead. Snow Noir had just become the latest puzzle in a city that specialized in mysteries. And whether she was dodging trouble or in the thick of it, he was now the guy drawing the map. The coal mine is buzzing like a beehive with a stick shoved in it. The house band croons a bluesy number that makes even the lamps seem to sway. But the new face? That's what's catching the attention tonight. Snow Noir, carrying a tray of drinks, her eyes as bright as neon lights, cuts through the smoke and chatter as if she's a star on a dark night. With every move she makes, the place seems to get a little less grimy, a little less hopeless. "Hey Snow, table 4 needs another round!" Fizz calls out, his voice competing with the smooth tunes.
On it.
She replies, flashing him a smile that'd make even a stone-cold killer think twice. Which, in fact, it did. She gathers up a new set of glasses, each filled to the brim with liquid courage. As she weaves through the crowd, Sly looks up from his piano and winks. Snow returns the gesture with a small nod, thankful for this strange sanctuary filled with even stranger protectors. The cabaret's patrons, a motley crew of the lost and the lonely, can't help but turn their heads as she passes. In a joint that usually serves a cocktail of desperation with a chaser of sorrow, Snow Noir is the unexpected shot of hope. Charming's shoes hit the rain-slicked streets like a jazz drummer on a final solo, purposeful and rhythmic. He's got a photo of Snow Noir in his pocket and a gnawing suspicion in his gut. He steps into a rundown pool hall where the smell of cheap cigars and cheaper ambitions hang thick in the air. This is the kind of place where secrets go to drown. "Seen this girl?" He flashes Snow Noir's photo to the bartender. "Might have seen her, might have not," the guy mumbles. "Memory's a little foggy, you know?" Charming slips a crisp $20 bill onto the bar. The guy's memory suddenly clears like the moment after a storm. "Yeah, I seen her. A few nights back. Looked like she was in a hurry getting lost in the crowd." Charming tucks the photo back in his pocket, nods his thanks, and heads for the door. One lead down, a labyrinth of questions still to navigate. But in a city of masks and facades, a single thread can unravel an entire tapestry of lies. And right now, that thread bears the name Snow Noir. The coal mine is humming like a juiced-up saxophone. The crowd swaying to a rhythm born in dark corners and secret rendezvous. Tonight's different. The usual gritty cabaret tunes have been swapped for something almost ethereal. Snow Noir, the new girl in town, takes the stage. The spotlight catches her eyes, making them glisten like dew on a spiderweb. As she croons the opening lines, the room goes still, hypnotized. Her voice weaves through the smoky air, a mix of innocence and haunting wisdom, as if she's singing to someone she's never met, but knows all too well. And just like that, who should walk in the door but Mirror? His entrance is understated, a quiet step through a creaky door, the very definition of incognito. He scans the room, locking eyes with Sly for a second. Sly nods, thinking he's just another patron looking for escapism. But Mirror's eyes widen when he spots Snow Noir on stage. It's like finding a Rembrandt in a thrift store. He finds a shadowy corner to inhabit, far from the bar, far from the lights. The song draws to a close, and he feels as if a spell's been broken. She doesn't see him, but he sees her. Oh, he sees her all right. And in this new light, it's clear as day who the fairest in town is. And it ain't Mirror's old lady. The dice keep rolling, but tonight they've landed on an unexpected number. A number that changes the entire game. Intermission, intermission, intermission. Hey, it's time for an intermission. Nobody does intermissions anymore, but they are a lost art. Go have a pee, go get a snack. Hey, while you're gone, check out patreon.com/Ronpon, or go to Amazon and check out Ronpon's nursery rhymes for sarcastic a-holes. All right, it's time to get back to the show. At the other side of town, Mira saunters into Victoria's lavish quarters, a realm of velvets and vanities. You can't wait to spill the tea, get it hot and fresh from the kettle of surprise. You won't believe what I stumbled upon. He starts, as casual as a cat about to pounce. Your stepdaughter. Saw the pretty young thing at a new gig. Victoria's face goes white, as if someone just slapped her with a sheet of ice. Her eyes narrow, and the air thickens.
What did you say?
Snow. Saw her myself at a joint called the Coal Mine. She was singing, can you believe that? Got the whole room wrapped around her finger. Mira watches the tempest brewing behind Victoria's eyes, realizing too late he's just lit the fuse on a barrel of dynamite.
That insufferable little brat.
She seethes.
I should have known better than to outsource family matters.
Mira can feel the storm about to break, but says nothing. He's made his bed, now he has to lie in it. Victoria scowls with finality.
If you want something done right, you have to do it yourself.
She storms out of the room, like a storm. Victoria dons her disguise with a sense of purpose, each accessory another layer in her facade. Dark shades, a smudge of maroon lipstick, and a scruffy overcoat complete the ensemble. She's a woman of many faces tonight, each one concealing her true nature, like a snake hiding in the grass. She steps out into the night, her heels clicking ominously against the pavement like a time bomb ticking down. The neon lights of the club flicker in the distance, a lighthouse for the lost and desperate. Pushing open the door, she steps into a different universe. Piano tunes fill the air, a smoky melody courtesy of the proprietor. A man as wide as he is tall lumbers about the place, staring her down as he passes, before falling into a fit of sneezes. Then her eyes fall upon Snow, an enigma wrapped in a riddle, serving drinks and charming souls. Little does she know, thanks to wicked dame, these souls would be her last. The woman takes a seat at the bar, waiting for an opportune moment.
2 gins.
She tells the barkeep, who nods and begins to pour. As he turns to grab something, Victoria seizes her chance, tipping a vial of poison into one of the glasses. Snow glides over, a genuine smile breaking the monotony of forced club pleasantries. Victoria stops her and slides the tainted glass toward her, keeping her head down and her voice pleasant.
Care for a drink? You look like you could use one.
Snow's eyes lock onto Victoria's, familiar but not. A moment of uncertainty crosses her face before she declines.
I appreciate the offer, but I don't drink on the job.
Victoria's smile stiffens, a castle wall going up.
Some other time, perhaps.
She says, her voice a saccharine melody masking a deep-rooted venom. Snow nods and goes back to her duties, leaving Victoria alone at the bar with 2 drinks, one poisoned and the other a bitter reminder. Victoria takes a sip from her own glass, the gears in her mind already turning, planning the next stratagem. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. Charming canvasses the dim-lit streets, a lone detective in a sea of shadows. His search has led him to the kind of neighborhood where you're as likely to find trouble as answers. He spots a guy loitering near a street corner, the kind of fella who knows things, provided he's sober enough to sputter them out. Striding up to the man, the detective tips his fedora slightly. Evening. The name's Charming. Prince Charming. The guy sizes him up, a slow grin creeping across his face. Isn't that some sort of joke? You better hope not. Charming shows the guy a photo of Snow. Ever seen her? The guy glances at the photo, his eyes narrowing as if scanning the archives of his memory. Maybe, maybe not. What's the worth to you? Charming's eyes roll at the predictability of it, but he pulls out a wad of bills and peels off a few. How about enough to clear your tab at the local dive? The lug looks down and sneers. How about you double the offer? Charming comes in close and stares the man down like an anteater looks at an ant. How about I offer you a good beating? The guy stares right back, but he sees the danger in Charming's eyes and snatches the money, tucking it into his coat. Yeah, I saw her. Don't remember where exactly. It was that kind of night. But there was singing, and there was music, and there was definitely booze. Charming tucks the photo back into his pocket, his senses tingling like they do when he's onto something. Much obliged. He turns, leaving the guy in his lonely corner, and starts making his way to the nearest cabaret, hoping luck will be on his side. Snow Noir is out there somewhere. He can feel it. All he's got to do is find her. Victoria slinks back to her shadowy den after the botched first attempt. With gritted teeth, she eyes her collection of disguises and selects a new persona, this time a hairpin saleswoman. Slipping into a dowdy dress, putting her hair in a tight bun, and donning large glasses, she looks in the mirror and doesn't even recognize herself. Perfect. Equipped with her case of lethal trinkets, she saunters back to the coal mine. It's another bustling night, the club's atmosphere thick with jazz and cigarette smoke. Snow Noir is behind the bar, a radiant gem in this cold, dark world.
Time to end this charade,
Victoria mutters to herself. She bellies up to the bar, brandishing a saccharine smile.
Evening, doll. How would you like to beautify that pretty head of yours with a high-class hairpin?
Snow Noir meets her eyes, puzzled but gracious.
Thanks, but hairpins aren't my thing.
Victoria's fingers dance over her case of baubles, landing on the poison-laced pin.
Are you sure, hon? This little number would elevate that mane to movie star status.
Catching the side eye from Sly, Snow Noir hesitates. That's the moment Victoria's been waiting for. She lunges, taking matters into her own hands and attempting to stick the pin into Snow's ebony locks. But before the pin can make contact, Sneeze, the beefy bouncer, steps in like a wall of meat and morality. Hey lady, you've overstayed your welcome. Time to make like a tree, you know? Get out. Victoria is forcibly shown the door, her second attempt thwarted, her disguise now useless. As she steps into the night, she ponders her predicament, stickier than tar on a hot day. No more games. The gloves are off. Snow Noir will be no more, even if Vic has to do it the old-fashioned way. Victoria, a woman of countless faces but the same cold heart, is back in the theater of despair. This time she dons a trench coat dark as midnight and a veil that could shroud even the brightest of stars. Like a hawk in the shadow, she lurks in the grimy alley behind the coal mine, malevolence gripping her tighter than a vice. It's been some time since she's gotten her hands so dirty, and this kind of dirt is hard to wash off. Snow Noir, blissfully unaware, steps out the back door of the coal mine, a large garbage bag slung over her shoulder like a soldier's duffel, filled with the spoils of daily toil instead of wartime plunder. Her world has been small these days, learning new songs and pouring whiskey, unaware of the looming guillotine. Her grip loosens on the bags as she lifts the dumpster lid, and that's when she feels it. A delicate yet strong hand clamping around her throat. A throat twice as delicate but lacking in strength. Struggling for breath, she drops the bags, their contents scattering across the grungy pavement. But fate's not done writing the script. Footsteps scuffle in the distance. It's Flash, the lighting guy, out for a break and a smoke. He catches sight of the violent tableau and snaps into action. Hey, what the? Victoria releases her grip as Snow drops lifelessly to the ground. Her attacker bolts as Flash rushes towards him. Flash drops to his knees next to her limp body, shaking her like a bartender mixing a cocktail of desperation with a twist of fear, but to no avail. He calls out for help, soon joined by his fellow dwarves. They gaze down in impotent horror, wishing their pal Doc had never left to start his private practice. For all their many talents, only he had a lick of medical know-how. So, the worried dwarves call out frantically, hoping that anyone might hear their calls and save their friend, before she shuffles off her mortal coil like a slinky negligee. Smoke still clinging to his tailored suit like a stubborn alibi, Charming makes his way down the street, following what he hopes is his last tip of the case. As he approaches the dingy, neon-lit building, he hears a commotion from the alley nearby, like someone playing the blues with a harmonica full of clues. Without a thought, he strides into the alleyway, his eyes taken into pandemonium. A cluster of dwarves huddled around a sprawled figure, their faces etched with concern. Charming soon learns his concern is contagious as he gazes upon the lovely, lifeless lass he had been charged to find. "Step aside, boys, I'm medically trained," Charming announces, oozing the kind of confidence that could make a lion second-guess its bite. Sly glances up, skeptical but desperate, and with a wave of his hand, the dwarves part like the crowd at a sold-out show. Charming kneels beside the girl, his hands steady as he tilts her head back. The situation's dire, but in his line of work, you don't get far by losing your cool. He leans down, his lips meeting hers in what the poets might call a kiss of life, but what medical textbooks would list as cardiopulmonary resuscitation. A few gifted breaths later, her eyes flutter open, as if by magic. As Snow Noir draws in a shuddering breath, the tension in the alley dissipates, evaporating like spilled whiskey on a hot sidewalk.
Who are you?
She rasps, still disoriented, but aware enough to recognize a stranger when she sees one. "Charming. Prince Charming," he says, straightening his tie with the air of a man who's just played his trump card. And judging by the look on Snow's face, it's aces all around. The trip back to Snow's family mansion is as uneventful as it is nerve-wracking, like a long elevator ride to the wrong apartment. Finally, the motley crew finds themselves walking up the long path to the entrance, all eyes peeled for the treacherous stepmother, who has, for the time being, made herself scarce as a good meal in the depression. The moment the gang steps inside, it's like a canary returning to a gilded cage. Only this time, the bird's got backup. Sly leads the pack, wearing his bravado like a suit of armor, while the other dwarves file in, their faces filled with a mix of awe and determination. Snow's daddy-o, looking as withered as an old sax left out in the rain, tears up at the sight of his daughter. Before two words can be exchanged, the front door bursts open, and in struts Victoria, done up like she's hitting the red carpet instead of the family hearth. Charming, cool as a cucumber in a bowl of hot sauce, pulls out a pair of handcuffs from his coat pocket. "Victoria, you're under arrest," he states, his words crisp like the final note in a haunting melody. He'd be sure she was brought to the authorities safe and sound, as temporary as that safety may be. As the cold steel of the cuffs lock around her wrists, her face contorts, a grotesque twist to the luxurious facade she's kept up all these years. She's been caught, like a flat note in an otherwise pitch-perfect performance. And just like that, the curtain falls on her final act. The days pass quickly and happily, like a well-hydrated bowel movement. Yeah, I'm running out of analogies. In the absence of the envious stepmother, spirits lighten like a needle lifting off an old vinyl, ending a somber tune. Caged, she's no longer the viper in this urban jungle, her venom neutralized by the iron bars and the scales of justice, instead doomed to wallow in a self-imposed misery. Charming steps out of the courtroom, flicks a cigarette into the wind, and pockets an envelope. His payday, thick as a plot and just as satisfying. Even a seasoned detective has bills to pay, and maybe, just maybe, enough left for a decent bottle of whiskey. At the coal mine, the dwarves celebrate, bottles popping and jazz horns blaring. Their home, normally a sanctuary for lost souls, had been the backdrop for something genuinely good. They raise a toast, their own pockets a bit heavier thanks to a reward from Snow's grateful daddy. Snow and Charming meet under the neon lights, their eyes locking like two puzzle pieces finally finding their fit. It's not some love at first sight fairy tale, but there's a spark, a first note, in a song yet unwritten. Life still plays its haunting melody in the background, but for now, they've got a shot at writing their own course. After all, in this world of smoke and shadows, it's not the happily ever after that counts. It's the story you tell along the way. Patreon.com/Ronpon.